Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes podcast, your weekly dive into funding, market, and investor news in architecture, engineering, construction, and supply chain. Before we get started though, if you're a startup founder or operator responsible for innovation in your company, or you want a deeper, more insightful look into technology in AEC, you won't want to miss our newsletter. From deep dives into particular technologies such as AI, robotics, design, software, and so on. Hot takes from investors betting big in AEC technology and advice on building tech companies, including the stories and takeaways of the most successful AEC technology founders. Head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today to get this exclusive material straight to your inbox. And now for the episode.
Okay. All right, guys. So today we are going to be discussing a Series B funding round, which is by a growth equity firm for a company called Stratus. And it seems to me that everywhere you go now, you can't avoid the news on AI. And obviously this week there was some major news about a new development through DeepSeek. And for our audience, to help you get away from the AI news, we decided to talk about it on here as well. So with that,
I have a feeling we won't get away from AI.
Yeah,
we got no chance.
especially not when we look at the money coming into the space.
It's crazy, right? So with that,
Yeah.
shall we dive into Stratus, and then we will perhaps look at AI generally in construction, and then if we get a chance, DeepSeek and what that might mean.
Oh, and before we do that, I think we're all interested. What is happening with your voice? You sound so much more,
Like you came back from Ibiza yesterday or something.
No. So I actually read in a Chris Voss book on negotiation that the radio FM DJ voice is the best one to adopt. So I've been practicing. What do you reckon?
Okay. Keep practicing.
Sweet.
No, I actually have been suffering with flu this week, sadly. I think it's just a symptom of having two young kids. You seem to catch everything. So yeah, maybe I'll do less talking and let you guys take the stage, but we'll see how we
I
go.
don't know, with that voice, you sound more Texan all of a sudden, less British.
I guess with the growing listener base in the US,
Yeah.
it's starting to rub off, huh? The
Yeah,
mirror
need to think
neurons
about
are firing.
No.
Yeah, need to think about relocating when technology is the future. Okay, so we have Stratus that raised 32 million in Series B to fuel their platform for MEP contractors that facilitates digital workflows. I think that's what I gathered from the announcement. Patric, over to you. What is Stratus and what's their product? Why is it important?
So we're sitting with Stratus in the workspace of MEP and pre-construction. So basically designing detailed MEP components, so electrical components, piping components, plumbing components, and some of the adjacent parts to it. We're designing those, and at some point but in detail, right? So we're really detailing it, not on a feasibility level anyway, but not like the very, very early stages even of the MEP, but like this is detailing it. And then all the way to actually then fabricating it and installing it. So we're in that part of the overall process. And anyone who has, even like me, touched MEP workflows from a more remote level, all the way to the people who are doing this all the time, know just how nitty-gritty, how detailed this can become, and also how costly mistakes are. If you think that putting a wall 3 millimeters the wrong way, a half an inch the wrong way, and that's painful, it is. Try doing the same problem with stuff that goes on inside the wall, which is the electrical piping, plumbing, etc. And so Stratus is offering a solution that takes what you design in AutoCAD, Revit, or your other favorite authoring tool, and either allows you to keep editing within that authoring tool at a more granular, detailed level using Stratus Layover. I think you could call it a plugin, or you can actually export it into a Stratus authoring environment, which Stratus offers as sort of their CAD and BIM solution for the more detailed planning of what you're doing. But it doesn't end there, right? So now Stratus takes whatever you author inside their environment or your favorite authoring environment and allows you to run the entire workflow through coordination with your fabrication process. So your shop, the people who need to do QA, QC on it, the people who then need to ship it, and everything can happen through Stratus up until the time when it's then actually on site and being installed. And I love this space because for me, you either have to own the authoring or you have to own the data infrastructure anywhere in construction if you want to become bigger than an AI feature. So I'm all in on authoring environments or data infrastructure environments, and Stratus is following an interesting thesis here, in my opinion. And, kudos to them. They were founded 2015. I have their numbers from last year, although the company never spoke to me, but I spoke to someone who is very close to the firm and kind enough to share. And I think the company really hit its stride the last year. And so now following that up with, very, very good Series B. So kudos to them. And yeah, I think it's a great sign also for our industry.
So basically within the MEP space, they want to own the design to construction workflow. Is that correct?
For the electrical design or plumbing and piping design, and then the fabrication and installation of that.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So this is like, is there a space for just one company that does that, or that's something that there's like a few other participants?
There are incumbent tools. Yeah, there are incumbent tools there. For example, if you go to Schneider Electric for electrical design, Schneider Electric has bought a software. I think 2019. I forgot the ETAP. I think was the name. They bought that for. Let me not say a wrong number, but they paid a pretty dollar for it, and ETAP was like one of the standards of how people dealing with electrical designs would work. And then also they have more and more components, and Schneider Electric internalized that, but keeps selling the software. It's a nice, interesting interplay between the hardware that Schneider can offer to people in the electrical field, plus the software, etc. And so you will have more and more softwares like these for electrical, for piping, plumbing. Stratus is obviously coming into that, not only with a more modern stack, so I think that's interesting, but also with the thesis of, hey, let's actually integrate the entire fabrication and logistics supply chain to it, which is something that usually you're not seeing from an authoring tool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like looking slightly broader on the whole issue that they are tackling, how many verticals have we got within this design workflow to construction space? We have MEP that we just spoke about. What else have we got? Can we say architecture is the one, or structure is the one, or they are kind of combined?
So right now I'm looking at the breakdown of hard costs of a construction project to kind of find your answer, right? So you could say, oh, there's framing, then there's cabinets, countertops, windows, doors, drywall, trusses, and so on and so forth. And so is your question whether all of these
have an opportunity to be, deserve the like a workflow sub-platform that would take the designer from initial design stages to the construction or manufacturing?
It's a very interesting question. I hadn't thought about it that way. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, I suppose in a lot of instances, you're within the construction or design process, architects or whoever is the initial designer will only take things to a certain stage anyway. So what I find in a lot of projects,
which is a problem actually, because it doesn't allow for a proper workflow.
Agreed. So what I find with a lot of projects we are involved with is joinery. So wardrobes, cabinetry, furniture, that kind of stuff is rarely ever designed to a manufacturable level. And so that kind of reminds me of a company that we spoke to, is also in your portfolio, Patric, called Cutter.
Yes.
And having used the platform, actually, they do provide a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a workflow as such, but more of a...
that's right.
Yeah, of like a initial design of development of the intent that the design team has put together.
And you will actually have manufacturers. It's a fascinating question, Martin. I wonder why I've never thought about it that way. But see, that's why you're the engineer and I'm sitting here and having to do the poor business job. When you frame it that way, actually, it is obvious that several of the larger manufacturers of these different trades or components, right, actually to a degree have plugins for Revit, have libraries that they sell into Revit. Some of them would even go so far to partner with smaller CAD studios in order to design even authoring tool. So the craziest one that I have in my mind, which I completely love, it's a global market leader for circuit board boxes. I don't know if that's an English term, but basically the cabinets, circuit board cabinets that you would put. And I think this company has a market share globally of like 50%. Of most of the circuit board cabinets. So it's a company called Rittal, R-E-T-T-A-L. And so this company has invested in its own CAD authoring solution and some solutions around it to make it easy for their customers to actually design this, right? So now that you're framing it this way, it actually falls into place in my mind how manufacturers have been doing that for a while on a super granular level. Now, I think the more customizable, the more high value, and the more detailable the solution is, the higher the value of this, right? So doing it for like a timber framed wall, I'm not sure that's going to have a very high value because the components are very standardized on a granular level, right? Whereas in electrical design, there is almost an infinite amount of combinations and designs than you can do, probably more combinations than there are atoms in the universe, right? So
I think that's a great example as well, like I once said, actually,
Yeah, so I'm all in on this, but I keep saying also, hey, for me, authoring a data infrastructure eats AI features.
Tell us more.
Can you elaborate on this? So, for you, authoring data infrastructure kills AI features.
Yeah, it eats AI features. So I mean, we've been. How often are you guys seeing you're talking to how many founders now on a weekly basis? Like you must be talking to almost as many as I am.
Yeah, definitely. Double the amount you are, Patrick.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah.
I didn't try to make it a contest.
The difference is that you hope to make some money.
Yeah. Well, you're just philanthropists. That's
exactly. We give to the community.
Nice. No, I know you're making money. But but seriously though, right? I mean, you're talking to a lot of them. And how often has it happened to you that you're getting pitched or told about an AI feature in the last 1.5 years? I bet a lot. All the time, right? And for me, it's the same. For my colleagues, it's the same. There's a lot of like single point features that use the abundance of AI now to do one thing better than construction, pre-construction, etc. is doing. And of course, the promise is always, but then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, and the next thing is agents, and agents can do everything anyway, and that's why I'm doing it, etc. I'm not convinced of any of these very narrow insertion points for a singular point AI feature. What I am convinced of is that every design that you make, be it a 2D design, a 3D design, or a textual design, or any other form factor design, will have to be manipulated by a human. I am convinced that there are 0% instances over the next 50 years where you can get an end-to-end design out of an AI without human manipulation. That, if you believe me in that, if you believe that assumption, which you might not, right? And then you have a different thesis than I have, and that's, fine. One of us will be right.
You're talking
but
to
if
me?
you believe in mine, having the AI is less valuable than having the ability to manipulate. And the ability to manipulate will embed the AI features. And so that's the authoring side of it. And on the data infrastructure side, it's pretty much the exact same thing.
Hey listeners, I want to take a quick break to remind you about the Bricks and Bytes newsletter. If you're interested in learning about the technology shaping the future of construction, you won't want to miss the valuable insights we share each week. To get this exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox, head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today. Link is in the show notes. Back to the show.
So if you're on the ontology of how my company is supposed to communicate about all the different aspects of information that flows, and and then I have the data pipelines to let that flow, I actually don't need a lot of agents. Because agents are sort of a crutch to not having an ontology, not having a harmonized system, not having harmonized pipelines. That does, and these data infrastructures can host AI. They can actually, by being the end-to-end arbitrators of ontological data in my organization, AE firm, construction, whatever, developer, they can then actually run the AI features end-to-end on it. And so that's, for me, the more powerful way of building generational companies in AEC over the next 10 years than a point feature in AI. To be clear, don't at me and don't hate me for it. There will be very valuable companies that are born out of AI in AEC. Of course, I'm saying authoring and data infrastructure will eat the singular point AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fine. What do you think from a structural engineer perspective? Do you think that you always need a human touch point?
So my thoughts are that, so right now, everyone is selling B2B software. So software producer to engineer, architect, MEP designer, etc. Because these are so-called professions, and you need to be qualified or smart in something to prove that something is correct, whatever was designed in the software. Software is very smart right now. You just need a little bit of knowledge. You just need to know certain, like a first principle type of stuff as an engineer, for example, to make it right. I'm not talking about, rocket science structures, but majority is kind of on this light level. And that's current way of dealing with it. I think that as the software space will become smarter and smarter, we will have more B2C almost like type of software. They will still at some point require the touch of this so-called professional or specialist, but I think it will be less and less. For less risky items, like less risky structures or buildings, you probably will be able to generate most of the drawings or structural elements from this B2C type of software. But what I don't have no idea is like what's the market, what's the engineering market share of the projects that this type of software will be able to tackle. I think that obviously it will be a slow journey, and it will take probably maybe a decade or two to have, I don't know, 2, 5, 10% of it. But every single industry I can think of, this middleman, engineer in this case, is eliminated at some point, right? And things go from the business to the customer directly.
A decade or two will work, but by then Owen's voice is back.
Yeah, baby. Bring it back. But I think that, Martin, to your point, there's still, based on conversations I have with people, there's still a little bit of a trust issue with AI and the responses that it provides.
Until there is none.
Yep. Yes, I know. I'm saying like short term, and people still love to have someone to speak to, right? So if you are working with someone like a structural engineer, it's still nice to be able to have that structural engineer to call up and be like, oh, I just want to talk to you because not because I love you, but because I have like a question, or something like this that I want to know. Whereas when you get that spat out of you via an AI tool, it's like, humans love an interaction.
Nice.
That's why you hire consultants.
DJ,
right?
he really became a DJ.
Oh, I lost you guys.
We need to take a screenshot of that image.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I mean, just to bring that home, right? So that's why I'm quite excited about companies like Stratus. I wish, this was a company that had raised a little bit earlier, but good for them that they actually didn't need. This is old school venture. Build a lot of business before you then raise maybe a huge round. So great for them, right? And so this is exactly 32 million Series B, exactly what you're highlighting here.
Yeah.
For me, this is the kind of companies that if you think about AI, they are the ones that are most deserving of actually embedding AI.
Interesting. So within your portfolio or within your VC activity, have you come across companies which tackle different, obviously construction, but different verticals who are working on similar type of platforms?
Good question. So
That's
when
part
it comes,
of it, and another part of it, which could be a separate question, is 32 million not too much?
so that okay. Let me start with the latter because I don't want to spill the beans on their number. The company never gave me the number, so technically I wouldn't spill the beans. But I found their numbers last year to be good and deserving of a 30 million Series B. So let's say several million of ARR, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that, and by several I don't mean two. Mm-hmm. So no, I think it was quite deserving, and they can probably put the money to quite good use. Also, I think the company's at a stage where, of course, you can always improve the product, but this is going to be about distribution. And if they figured out like some of the motions that will be repeatable for them, then throwing money at motions that are capital efficient and they are repeatable is exactly why venture capital was born. So this would actually be the most perfect use of raising money, right?
Mm-hmm.
With regard to the first part of your question, so in the design authoring and pre-construction authoring, you can, and your question was very good there, Martin. So I think you can find cases for hyper detailed vertical or super even sub-vertical tools like MEP detailing. This is why there's Stratus. But you will also have, in the same way why you have Revit or even AutoCAD, hyper generalist tools that excel at many, many, many different things. But because you learn the workflows with them, because you learn the interfaces, you gain routine with them, you're able to replicate the use of them across many different things that you want to be doing. And they are so generalist that not one job function only works with them, but actually your external consultant in their job function works with them too. That requires a generalist tool. And so in my portfolio, Rayon is an example of that, a company I am extremely excited about and can't wait for the great things that they end up doing. Snapshot, the same thing, right? So Rayon being 2D BIM for now, and Snapshot being in the 3D space and going into a direction that I would call almost a cursor for 3D design. Sorry, if you're not familiar with cursor, we can do a detour, but like that's two very exciting generalist tool examples. And I think both will actually have both the generalist as well as like these hyper specialized detailing tools for super big niches. They have a place and I can be excited about those.
So what is actually revealing in my head when you were explaining this is that you think, correct me if I'm wrong, that there are there's no point in trying to figure out from scratch next AutoCAD, but perhaps the path is to pick up, for example, DWG file created in an AutoCAD or another authoring tool, and then not reframe it, but refine it within that tool to a very specific need or to a very specific like requirement or specialist point of view. Is that what you?
So
what you say?
That's part of what I'm saying. I think there were a few other aspects, but let's just run with this one because this is actually the way you phrased it. One of the core hypotheses of a company like Stratus. So I think it's exactly right? So you do a basic authoring in another authoring tool and you offer features and functionalities, workflows, experiences, how in Stratus the detailing is easier than it is painful in AutoCAD. Kionic out of Belgium, saying hi here to Eric and Mark, the former BricsCAD founders. They founded Kionic with exactly that thesis, right? So saying, hey, whatever gets authored in Revit is never detailed enough for a construction company to actually do proper estimation. So, but then doing the hyper detailing of a building's BIM file in Revit is also too painful just because it lacks some of the experience, it lacks some of the rendering, it lacks some of the functionalities. And so that's how they started and insert themselves with Kionic to allow the detailing on a much more, good level.
Yeah.
And so from there, it's going to be a very interesting observation, actually, the next few years, whether that's the insertion point to then work your way backwards to then kill Revit or AutoCAD.
Yeah, but same with Rayon and Snapshot, actually, right?
So with Rayon or Snapshot, I would also do blank canvas editing. I can load files and I can edit and detail much more conveniently and much more fast some of the existing files, but equally so, I would also be able to start on a blank canvas and be faster. So it offers both insertion points.
We also spoke with a Swedish company. And help me.
Finch.
Finch, yes, and they specialize in the floor plans for high rises,
Yes.
I think, and makes sense.
Mm.
Okay.
I also have a cool civil engineering software company, actually, Martin. I'm not
Okay.
ready to talk about it just yet,
Okay.
but they have new web-based civil engineering software.
I'll take a note of that.
You have to find out the name. It could be an early
Okay.
adopter, Martin.
That's what everyone, well, especially venture capitalists are looking for, right?
Nobody
yeah,
can replace you, Martin.
But no. I spoke actually with someone yesterday about automating some part of my workflow. And yeah, I spoke actually 3 times. For the third time, I spoke with someone about automating structural engineering workflow for small, medium type of projects in the last 2 years. And actually, this time seems like the most clued up person, and they already have done some automations for other engineers. So yeah, that's kind of interesting on my end.
Good to see. Good to see. I mean, we need a lot of labor efficiency in our entire engineering world. Otherwise, how are we going to do all of that engineering?
Yeah, and how are we going to build this 300 million of capex of data infrastructure warehouses? Or
I think you got it in order of magnitude wrong. I think it's 300 billion. 300 million is what they do over lunch.
Did I say million? Did I say millions? No.
Yeah.
So maybe we can
Is
shift
this
a little
the is it called, what was it called? Star something? The open AI
I don't know.
500 billion? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. So, I think that's something different. That was investment into OpenAI or around OpenAI to develop this
Stargate.
AI infrastructure. But yes, Stargate. But what I'm talking about is Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all combined. It's around 80 plus 96 plus 62, and then now 60. So that's the 300 billion actually. 3 of those are going to spend on artificial intelligence and AI cloud infrastructure. What does it actually mean? Is it building warehouses for servers, or what does it mean?
This says Microsoft AI-enabled data centers.
Yes.
Right. So by it's a long term that you read there, but the short version of that would be, yes, data centers as well as the electrical grid expansion to deal with it, the cooling expansion to deal with it, primary energy sources that go next to it. So you had Last Energy. Did you speak to Last Energy?
Gabe did.
Gabe did, right? On BitBuilders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's also included, as far as I understand, in those 300 billion. And that's why they have this long term of infrastructure. But yeah, it's everything that basically is needed to put more data centers for AI in place.
Mm-hmm. So this gives definitely some like a local boost into a construction space, like a tangible construction space. But do you see any more focus in the startup world within like AI-enabled data centers? Is there anyone targeting this particular segment just because there's so much money for so much construction in the next few years?
Yeah, like for example,
Look,
could there be like a Stratus for design of the data centers?
There is. So we've seen some of them, and here sorry, I forgot the name, but this is not just bad memory. So Vivin at Zakua actually has a company in his portfolio that does something like this. So look up Zakua's portfolio, then you can see the number. It eludes me. There's a big incumbent that actually does that as well as Vercel. So there are solutions like that out there that try to grab a share of the design part of it, and there are more and more startups that we're seeing that try to insert themselves through the development and thinking the bottleneck is maybe the land as well as the grid expansion and trying to solve it from that degree. Then you are seeing companies that try to help with the primary energy for data centers, like Last Energy, but there's more like that. In primary energy's case, it's nuclear energy, which is a very good, let's stay out of politics, which is a very logical and useful and applicable source of energy for data centers. It matches very well. And so we're seeing many of them, and it's almost like a gold rush. Now, whether you want to be invested in a gold rush is a different question.
You want to have the shovels business, right?
Very good. What does that bring us on to this the big massive bombshell this week with
Hey, not just sorry, Owen, I just have to reply. Hey, maybe in 1849, I'm not even want to be in the shovels business for the gold rush. I want to be the railway that actually gets everybody to and fro and all the.
The thing is that I've read a book about a guy called Flagler. He was the partner of the oil giant Rockefeller, right? Yes, and he
you
basically
should read about the history of them and the railroad.
Yes, exactly. So the railroads has been like very, very absolutely difficult business. So and very difficult. Most of the railroads actually went bust.
Look, it's a capex. I mean, it's a natural monopoly. If you don't know what that means, read it up. But if you can make it work because you can vertically integrate, which is something that, people that actually own steel mills and that could fabricate, for example, the rails. And then once you have it up and running, it's a pretty neat business. And so you were out, there was not as much competition in 1849 necessarily in a specific railway, but it was a lot in actually whatever, buying land for gold. So do you want to be in the gold rush or in the infrastructure business for it?
I mean, one of the reasons Standard Oil done so well was because they set up this dodgy, is the right word, deal with the railroads, which meant they were able to outcompete so many of the competition at the time. Was the company you were speaking to FlexNode? Speaking about, sorry, Patrick.
That's the one. Thank you. Thanks. Yes, that's Zakua's company.
Interesting.
Events.
How about DeepSeek then? Any impact directly on the AEC industry with perhaps the impact and maybe even lessons learned for people building technology in the space?
Yeah, there's very like a bipolar position of people onto this subject. That some say that this is nothing, that it's been out there for a year. And some people say that, it's the end of NVIDIA and the end of OpenAI, this kind of stuff. So what do you think, Patrick?
Look, I'm not invested in, say, generalist AI. I have been on the record for 2.5 years cautioning people to put all their eggs into the AI basket, and people being founders, talent, as well as investors. Because some might see it on the gray hair I'm carrying here on the sides of my head that, it's not the first rodeo of boom and bust cycles and over amplifying short-term trends. And sometimes you also learn to let time play out a little bit, especially when something becomes hot. 1, 2, fundamentally, I do not think that let me retrace that. Fundamentally, the business of construction is valuable because it's moving atoms and stacking atoms.
Mm-hmm.
AI is not doing that. Mm-hmm. So robots are, which through AI can become better, but if you own the fulfillment, if you own the outcome, you will always have a place, right? So that, again, does not mean I'm bearish on AI. It means that I am realistic about how to build the most generational companies, and a single point feature of an AI company, I do not have conviction actually is solving much of the industry's opportunities, capturing much of the industry's opportunities, while you look left and right and you're seeing people pile into this and that, etc., into completely obvious opportunities, obvious to outsiders, to generic people, to 22-year-olds dropping out of, whatever kind of company without ever having looked at construction. And then you're creating a lot of competition with a lot of capital being freely allocated into this gold rush. And you're all of a sudden being, there's 99 category clones like me, but hey, I'm AI. It makes a ton of sense. I just have a bigger liking for the non-obvious stuff where I can build for a long time, and eventually I'm a super interesting category creator in my own right. I just happen to embed AI.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm looking at this.
Well, I think that's a smart way of thinking about it, because otherwise, what's your differentiation if everyone is kind of trying to chase another person working on the same kind of model, or to have a better model, faster model? It's and these companies have a great, like, gigantic funding as well. So
Yeah.
it's impossible to. There's probably there will only be a few winners, or the few top companies, and the rest will be just adopting their models and trying to do something intelligent with these models.
Take this thought experiment, right? So if you have two categories to be created, one of them is AI first, and the other one is AI later, AI embedded, but you do something else. And in the first one, you can expect 100 category clones to compete with, and in the second one, you can expect one competitor. In both cases, the definition of category leader is there will be one of them. Why the hell do you want to try to be the category leader in the competed category when you are offered the other category, which could be equally as big?
Yeah,
it becomes quite transformative once you start thinking about it that way.
Yeah,
like,
it's a great analogy.
My favorite, Sam Zell, used to say that competition is great, but for you, not for me. Yeah.
Also, I guess people are just, like we mentioned earlier, it's the gold rush. It's quite easy to put together some AI first tool now, and hope that you're going to succeed and become a category creator. Whereas the hard work is definitely within the second option that you mentioned, Patrick. You build something and then apply AI later.
Yeah, and be silent about it. You don't have to telegraph your moves to your competition. I'm seeing actually, sorry, there's a meta thing here that I just want to elevate. I'm seeing a lot of founder decisions, also investor decisions, but a lot of founder decisions being driven by instant gratification. I don't know if any of you ever noticed this, but so instant gratification is I'm picking a space where I can raise a lot of money and become popular very quickly. So it's very, very easy for me to tell a narrative for a follow-up funding round and become the darling of the scene. And then I'll do another one, a big Series A, right? So 20 million. And so again, I'm a darling and I'm gratifying myself with.
So we're going to beep it, but it's.
I think there are many examples like that. It's, and I wouldn't even say it's that one. It's VC is littered with that. And then you can also, on the investor side, you can instantly gratify yourself exactly with that. The same thing, right? So you can pat your back and saying, oh, my company raised this much, or oh, my company raised that much. I mean, entire employed VC careers are minted exactly through that instant gratification logic rather than long-term sustainable business growth. And so Shub said it the other day to me, my partner here at Fundamental said it to me the other day. He said, Patrick, once you actually completely disconnect the teams that you partner with and their decision-making, your own decision-making from any sort of instant gratification, you always land at the non-obvious generational opportunities. Because they look quirky in the first few years and it will be tough to actually get love for them. And that's pretty cool. Once you realize that, it's almost like a normal path there.
Yeah, nothing I can disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, instant. It's just you can't change the nature of a human. Everyone wants things minimal effort, maximum output.
What is actually interesting is, as you say, that there's lots of people chasing these obvious ideas, and despite that these are obvious, there is funding available for them. And this is interesting, like looking at this space from the outside in, that companies or perhaps people that should not be given that much money to generate just another similar idea, they get this money. So what it tells me that, and I don't want to be too judgmental, but either investors are not great, or there is absolutely no one in the industry who is trying to innovate and the people who are coming up with these ideas.
Look, Martin, the system of venture capital allocation works in the sense that it does help to create the generational transformative companies. It works in that way. It's just incredibly inefficient. If you want me to discuss with you why it's inefficient, my own conclusions to that, we need a separate episode, but the answer is at the top of the capital allocation chain. That's the short answer. And if you want me to elaborate, it deserves its own hour.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
It's not ineffective, it's inefficient.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Anything else for today?
Yeah, so Patric, there's been the month of January 30th, actually.
Yes.
How has it been treating you so far and fundamentals?
Pretty good. I'm liking it. I mean,
how much have you spent?
Much have we spent? Let me think. So in terms of money wired, 3 million US.
Oh, and what did it hit your account?
I didn't see nothing.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, Owen didn't tell you? Yeah, it did. Sorry, I thought you guys were partners.
Damn.
In terms of committed, it might be closer to 8 or 9, I think.
Very nice. Can you tell like what's the space, or maybe obviously without names?
I mean, one of them we're doubling down on a portfolio company of ours that we're incredibly excited about, which is Metalbook in Asia, which is the cloud manufacturing company for construction metals. Also goes into other manufacturing sectors for metals, and so we think they might follow the path of another good success we've enjoyed down there.
Mm-hmm. When is the IPO of Inframarket? Nearly forgot the name.
No new timeline. I mean, right now it sounds to me like everything is progressing, but I'm not the one that is being informed on a daily basis. So, but I haven't heard any deviations.
Exciting times.
Okay. Another exciting news from perhaps your team in America?
So we invested in a new CAD solution, data infrastructure for CAD, which we haven't announced. But so that one, everyone over here was very interested in. So we like that one. That was an investment from the newest Fund 3 that we did. And in the US, we're constantly monitoring, constantly screening. But we also have our quirky taste of things that we fall in love with. And so US sometimes offers you a lot of option, but not always every pastry is to our taste. It's a big bakery, but we're picking pastries.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing from me, guys. So
me either.
What's on the roadmap for Bricks and Bytes next month?
February is.
I mean, we have quite a lot of calls.
Yeah, tons of calls.
And day-to-day podcasting. I think April will be exciting. Very exciting so far. February? What's exciting in February, actually, Owen?
February, nothing major until, like you say, April. But I think we will save the details because they're all confirmed. They're not quite signed on a dotted line to what we will be doing. So, but watch this space. We will let you know once we have an update.
We'll be traveling.
Yeah.
Sounds like super serious.
Sounds like super serious.
You might be right.
And in fact, slightly new format as well of super serious.
Wait, but you still have the traveling plant with you, do you?
Oh, we didn't think about that.
We'll take care of it. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, guys. Should we wrap up? I think I'm at the full capacity of my brain can take after this tough week. So.
Okay, let's do it.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.